Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the second day of the Presidential Conference on Economy and Environment in Harmony. Wasn't yesterday evening a spectacular event? I'd really like to congratulate my co-chair Massimo Ballotta for having arranged yesterday evening's event, which I think was something which we hope will be memorable for everyone. Really got the sense of Venice. So thank you very much to those of you that attended. Also for the raffle of the vase, which raised just short of 10,000 euros for the Disaster Response Fund. Of course, the idea of the raffle was a mechanism for the fundraising. It doesn't mean that you don't have other opportunities to raise funds. You can still use the same mechanism that we had yesterday. You won't win the vase, but that's fine. We're not doing it for the vase. We're doing it for peace and humanitarian aid in the countries in and around Ukraine, which are impacted by the very, very sad events. A couple of administrative points, please. Those of you who are leaving the hotel today, please note that the checkout time is 11 o'clock. So please make sure that you check out in time for that, to avoid any complications with the hotel. I'll also remind you about the masks and the sanitizing, which is, of course, extremely important for us all. Thank you. So, switching into our next gear, I'm about to introduce to you Professor Carlo Bagnoli. Carlo is the founder and the scientific director of Venezia, which is the Venice Sustainability Innovation Accelerator. And he is also a professor of strategy and innovation at the Department of Management at Ca' Foscari University of Venice, a very long-established and reputable university here in Venice. And I'd like to invite Carlo to address you on the case study of addressing environmental challenges here in Venice, and particularly the role of industry. Prego, Carlo.
Okay. Thank you for the invitation. I will try not to bore you too much. The story starts in 2019, exactly in November, because I am also the founder of a big event in Italy. The name is Strategy Innovation Forum, that is able to move a lot of people. And as probably you know, in November 2019, we had a big problem with the high water. So I moved the event to March 2020. And as you surely know in this case, in March 2020, we had the problem of the pandemic problems. So I needed to move again the event to September. But at that time, I decided that I should do something for Venice, because it was like, how I can say, 1-2 as in box, something very terrible for Venice. And I started to imagine what I can do to try to help, to support in some sense the renaissance of Venice. And the first problem of Venice is the population. We lose 1,000 people every year. So actually we have 50,000 people. That is a very small number compared to the past. In like 200 years ago, Venice had like more or less 200,000 and 250,000 inhabitants. So big difference in the past. So the population, and I started to imagine how to, how I can say, attract people to Venice. And of course, a pandemic gave us a big opportunity that was remote workers. So the idea is why we can't become a very attractive place, attractive city for remote workers. Remote workers, to choose a place, need for things. We needed to satisfy 4 different conditions. The first one is to have a special visa. Okay, so we started with our government to have a special visa for workers, for remote workers. That is not for tourists, not for, citizens. It's a special visa. They need a fast internet that we have in the city. Then they need also some fiscal incentives. And there is a law, Italian law, that is very, I can say, interesting for people that decide to move to Italy for one year, 2 years, or something like that. The fourth condition was to have international communities of innovators, of people that you can meet and share, I can say, free time, restaurant, and so on. So my point was, how can I build a small, at least, international community to satisfy the fourth condition to attract remote workers? And my idea was to develop an accelerator, a corporate accelerator focused on sustainability. So I started to imagine how to make the accelerator alive in a very difficult period. You know, we was in the middle of pandemic period, so not so easy to manage. And I wrote a document, a very visionary document, to try to attract someone, from everywhere, I don't care, that wanted to try to save Venice. My first ambition, I'm a professor of strategy, my first ambition was, okay, probably exists someone in the world that wants to become more famous than Elon Musk, no? You know, Elon Musk, he said that he wanted to save the world, so he started Tesla, electric mobility. And the second mission of Elon Musk was, if I'm not able to save the world, I will colonize Marte. Okay, so X-Space, the new adventure. My proposal was, okay, I want to save the world, and I started to look for someone, and so this is an invitation for people in this room, for someone whose ambition was, okay, I want to become a new Elon Musk. With the first mission, I want to save the world, and I want to start saving Venice, because if you are able to save Venice, probably you are able to save all the world. And the second mission, if I will not be able to save Venice, okay, I will build a city submarine, okay? That is quite, to build a city in which you can live above water, that's right. That is, I can say, very difficult mission, but not so difficult as to colonize Marte, less expensive. And I started, And I started to look for, I don't know, Bill Gates or someone like this, some Chinese, I don't know. So my idea was to develop a document, a very visionary document, in which the idea is not to explain from a financial point of view or from an economic point of view why you have to invest here. But the idea of this document was to, how I can say, to share a vision and to explain why you should come in Venice to be able to realize this great mission. And so we started, if I can have the slide, I started with the cover of the document in which, first of all, I define a tagline, make Venice the oldest city of the future. Okay, so first of all, a vision, make Venice the oldest city of the future. Then, and the vision, I mean, this tagline has been really appreciated. So people say, oh, interesting. So how we can make Venice the oldest city of the future? Okay, in my, how I can say, I'm a professor, so unfortunately I can't make simple things. I started this document working with the paradox approach. Paradox approach in strategy means to take something that are opposite, okay, and try to solve, I mean, not to make them as an opposite concept. So the idea was to try to identify some paradoxes that characterize my ambition, my adventure, and try to solve them. With another tagline that was to transform tourists in futurist. That in Italian it sounds a little bit better. So I don't want any more tourists, or not so much tourists, and I want more futurists. At the end, we can say, working with the paradoxical approach, I created that shape, that picture, that in some sense it seems like the quadrilobo, that is, we can say, the marchio, the stamp, I don't know how to translate in English, of Venezia, but it's also, I can say, it also seems like a butterfly, so working on the theory of chaos, small cause, big effect. And it also a picture that seems like the quadrifoglio. I don't know in English, I'm sorry. Quadrifoglio is the flower for the good luck. So the idea is, okay, this is my first sign. In reality, this picture is built, as I told you, comparing different paradoxes. Which are the paradoxes? But the first paradoxes start imagine how to face the problem of environmental and social sustainability. So we have as a goal the Sustainable Development Goals, and that's quite clear. I mean, sustainability in Venice is a big problem, so we start from here in building or imagine this accelerator. We wanted to face the Sustainability Development Goals looking for local solution. Why local solution? Because Venice has, interesting characteristic, in my opinion. It is a very small place, 5 square kilometers, for 15 inhabitants, as I told you, with huge amount of problems. You have the problem of high water, but you have the problem of managing the waste, you have a problem of mobility, electric mobility, so a lot of problems in a very small space. So you can use Venice like a living lab. Do you want to test a new solution connected to sustainability? Okay, you can, first of all, of course, test the solution, your solution in the lab, in a real lab, but then you can try to apply in a living lab in the city, okay? So, local solution, but to face, global challenges. The problem related to sustainability of Venice are not confined only to Venice, are worldwide problem. Okay, so, and the idea is if you can solve it, a problem in Venice, surely it's easier to solve in all the other parts of the world. Because Venice is the most complex city to do everything, in my experience, in the world. But if you can solve global challenges, okay, you can try to monetize the solution. So you can try to have some financial return. because you have the ability to scale the solution. And so in that sense, I have tried with Venezia, or the ambition is Venezia, is to try to solve the paradox between financial return and sustainable development goals. So from environmental and social sustainability and economic sustainability. And at the same time, the ambition was to solve the paradox between local solution to global challenges. And the idea is the attractor. I was using, how I can say, in some sense, the chaos theory. One attractor is we can offer a unique experience. You should believe me, if you decide to stay 3 months to live in Venice, you'll never go away, never. It's impossible. Not as a tourist. Stop for 3 months, and it's impossible to go away from Venice. It's a very special and unique experience. Okay, unique experience, but with a universal visibility. If you do something in Venice, immediately the world asks you, what are you doing? It's incredible. More than Rome, more than Milan in Italy. So, unique experience, universal visibility. The other part of the picture, okay, of course, we need to start we need innovation. Okay, I'm a professor in innovation. The innovation is the way to disrupt market, to disrupt industry. We are very specialized in deep tech innovation. Deep tech innovation is the 4th wave of innovation. The first waves could be connected to the first and the second industrial revolution. The second wave of innovation happened in the United States with the corporate labs like NASA, Bell's Labs, and so on. The third wave of innovation is the wave that we are living on. It's very connected to startup and the digital world, okay, the innovation that happened in Silicon Valley. But we are entering in a new way of innovation. The new way of innovation is characterized by coming back to atoms. It's not only digital, it's digital plus atoms. The most, I can say, the most famous example is the meat cultivated. The possibility to create a meat in laboratory without a cow, okay? So this is the 4th way of innovation, and we want to focus on the 4th way of innovation. Because innovation, okay, I can say, to develop innovation, you need, of course, to develop technology. For example, the technology on which we are working are especially synthetic biology, okay? And because it's, in some sense, the new technology or the technology that will have the most interesting result in the future. But, okay, innovation, technology, but the same is very important, design. What does mean design? Design comes from the Latin designare. That means to give a sense, to make sense of something. Okay? This is the etymology of the word. And why it's important design? Why it's important to looking for new means? Because, okay, from a scientific point of view, actually I'm able to create a meat in laboratory or cheese in laboratory. But I need to convince people that is a good thing. Okay, because if you are able to have meat cultivated, you can, I can say, try to solve big environmental problems connected to cow and to farm the cow and so on. So, design. But if we want to have a new meaning, of course, tradition is important. The woman shoes come from, I can say, in Venice, I can say, on the left, to try to, I can say, walk when there was high water. Okay, tradition. We can leverage the tradition to create in Venice a worldwide center in which discuss about new meaning for new product created with a deep tech approach. In that sense, we want to start from the origin, the foundation. Okay, there is a book printed, less than 6 months ago that is written by an American, an American professor, that wrote how many invention has been developed in Venice. Incredible list. The coffee, okay? The coffee has been invented here, and so on. The origin, but also the future, the perspective. This is the gondola. It has been a lot of people didn't like it. This is a gondola designed by Philip Stark, very famous designer, to say, okay, Venice should, or I can say, modernize also very traditional object like the gondola. Probably will never produce this typology of gondola. But I mean, the idea is the interesting idea. So, the perspective. As I told you, we want to focus, especially in deep tech. We want to create the first future farming lab in Europe. The future farming lab tried to, how I can say, combine two trends. At the microscope level, the trend is natural design or synthetic biology. What does it mean? It means, how I can say, to work on DNA or RNA to produce everything. It means to use the nature as a manufacturing platform. It means to move from a, how I can say, exploitative economic paradigm to a generative economic paradigm. I don't need natural resources. I don't need anymore to change, to, I can say, refine natural resources to obtain what I want. I don't need to start from oil to obtain gasoline, but I can use bacteria or enzyme, I don't know in English, to create exactly what I want. The problem of natural design, of using nature as a platform, as a manufacturing platform, is the scalability. It's difficult to scale. And so we are trying to combine vertical farms, control and environment agriculture, to be able to scale, to make this product available for the mass, not only for, I can say, not only in the laboratory. We have just, how I can say, developed a project, not so big project, it's a project of 20 million euro. That is, for me, a huge amount of money, but in terms of the world, it's not so big, to create the first laboratory here in Venice. That is also a paradox. Imagine future farming when there is no land. It's funny. No, we have no land, so we need to imagine a future farming, a new way for farming things. And the idea is to farm bacteria, virus, algae, mushroom, until plants, everything. And the idea is to create a laboratory to work with small, medium firms in this area. The idea is not to create, how I can say, a firm to make cultivated meat or whatever, or bioplastic or biopharma or I don't know what. The idea is to create, the idea is to, how I can say, to reduce the barriers of innovation. So, to start a relationship with medium firms, and here in Venice, in the Venice area, there are a huge number of firms, more than 400,000, and they produce everything. They don't care. They are able to produce everything. Actually, they don't know what to produce. That's the problem. Okay. So our idea is, okay, are you producing some specific component? Okay, I can start a research with you to produce the same component, but using the law of the nature, using the nature as a manufacturing platform. Okay, this is our flagship project. In reality, we start with an easier project. We are an accelerator. We have been able to convince 3 big Italian firms, how I can say, to join Venezia. The 3 big firms are Eni, Enel, and Snam, very focused on energy. And I started to, how I can say, to engage them because in 2020, with my idea, I was, in some sense, very courageous. I met Nadella. Nadella is the CEO of Microsoft at Davos. And I met Nadella and said, okay, I have an idea, sustainability accelerator Venice. And Nadella said, answers me, it's an interesting idea. Who are your partners, big Italian partners? Who believes in you? So I came back to Italy and I started to say, which are the biggest firms in Italy that the next time that I will meet Nadella, I will answer to him, okay, my partner are these. And so we have been able to involve NEN and LSNAM. In the next corporate accelerator program that will start in May of this year, also Cisco will join this program, also Prismian, probably, I hope, also Atlantia, other big firms are joining the program, because we have demonstrated in the first acceleration program that we are able to reach some interesting results. And the results are, the first acceleration program focused on sustainability, we receive 1,500 applications. It's a huge number, because you born in June 2021. You are not famous. You doesn't exist before. And you say, okay, I would like to involve startups to solve the problem of Venice. 1,500 firms from 28 different countries say, okay, it's an interesting challenge. I want to join your program to try to develop a pilot in Venice to solve a problem of Venice. Incredible result. Not only in the sense, we, for example, we have been invited to open the Italian pavilion in Dubai. So October the 3rd, the Italian government say, okay, you are a flagship program, and they invited to open the Italian pavilion. The Sunday Times, that is not local newspaper, phone me and say, I would like an interview. I would like to, how I can say, have some information about your initiative. It was very funny because they phoned me and say, I'm Sunday Times. Okay, it's a joke. No, it's not a joke. I would like to know what are you doing. So, incredible. We have been to reach more than 22 million people in terms of potential readers. So, huge number. Actually, we have, how I can say, we have 3 different lines of action. To launch the second acceleration program, okay, another one. This is quite simple, I mean, not really new, but I mean, effective until now. Of course, I'm still looking for the next Elon Musk. I'm still looking for someone that say, okay, you have demonstrated that are able to make things happen. Okay, I can save Venice. I want, how I can say, to attach my name to Venice. I want to, how I can say, to sustain your idea, because there is incredible payoff. It's not, I mean, it's not so difficult to change the life of the city. 5 square kilometers for 15 inhabitants. I mean, if the same challenge, if you want to have, how can I say, to try to save, for example, I don't know, Manhattan, it's an island. It's not all New York is an island. Like Venice, historical Venice is an island. You need, how I can say, I don't know how many, which is the space of Manhattan, but 10 million of people. It's a little bit more difficult, rather than 50,000 people. So, we want to make another program. We will start in May of this year. We want to, how I can say, to build this laboratory and to create a startup studio, to generate a new startup from the scratch, okay, that will try to face big challenges. And the last program that we are discussing, or we are trying to start, was an acceleration program on tourism and culture. CDP is, how I can say, like, it's not a bank, it's an investor, Italian investor, public Italian investor. They are developing a program to open 20 corporate accelerator all around the Italy. They want to create an ecosystem, a startup ecosystem in Italy. So they are investing to open different acceleration program. And they asked to me to, how I can say, to develop a program, an acceleration program focused on tourism and culture. It's perfect because we have an acceleration program focused on sustainability, and sustainability, environmental sustainability, is the big problem of Venice. But the idea is also to launch a corporate accelerator on tourism and culture that in some sense is the big opportunity of Venice. Venice is already a worldwide capital of contemporary art and in some sense culture. So to reimagine tourism, to change the idea of the tourism, and also how to leverage culture to image a better world, I think that Venice is the perfect place. So this is our ambition, and we hope to luck. And remember, I'm looking for someone that wanted to beat Elon Musk. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlo. Very visionary, future thinking, and certainly room for a lot of thought around some of the subjects brought up there. Innovation is obviously what we have to leverage to allow us to bring change, particularly in this time. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to spin back to the Rotary angle here. So what can Rotary do to help this transition that we're looking at? And as a speaker now, we have another video, our last video intervention, I would say, of Ludwig Kalthoff. Ludwig is also a member of the International Board of the ESRAG, the Environmental Sustainability Rotary Action Group. And he is going to be addressing the topic of how Rotary can help the transition. Thank you.
How can Rotary help the transition? The transition into sustainability. Well, let's look at the transition under actual heavy conditions. This risk propeller shows that risk emerges from the overlap of three issues: climate hazards, vulnerability and exposure of human systems, ecosystems, and their biodiversity. It is possible to switch from an urgent to a timely action regarding governance, finance, knowledge, and capacity. It is possible to come to a future climate change with limiting global warming if economy and environment works together, are in harmony. Let's look at the Rotary ecosystem. The amount of our members are stagnant. Yes. And how can we improve this? How can we reach out to new members? They have new mindsets. They are value-driven. They have ethical standards when not only starting their new business, when not only getting hired. They want to give back to their community what they achieved. And one new trend, at least in the EU, is that companies do have to show their annual ESG report. How can we increase the amount of members without losing the actual ones? Why don't we present Rotary as their service partner? Rotary is a worldwide action platforming. It is brilliant organized locally as a grassroots organization with districts, with zones. And Rotary can serve for the economies, they can serve for the communities. What structures do we have already? Well, we have the Rotary Foundation, we have the Rotary Action Groups. I will show two examples. We have the brilliant institution of cadre of technical advisors. We have 3 exemplary initiatives, and there is the Rotary Showcase. The foundation, as you all know, is highly trust-rated. It works with global grants in all 7 areas, and these are all, of course, in alignment to the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Well, we live circular economy in our Rotarian world. We have projects like the 60 project in Kenya, Nakuru. There you find 4 area of focus in a harmonic way. Well, in the world of very many action groups, I would like to present 2 of them. One is the Rotary Action Group for Environment and Sustainability, and the other one is the one for microfinance and community development. Just reach out, look in your district and see who is responsible. Let's look at the cadre of technical advisors. They are, for instance, askable for community economy development. They can be asked for grant planning resource, and they are also financial auditors. How can they help? They are not only providing projects, they give planning advice, they help with implementing guidance, they can design community assessments, they can advise on incorporating elements of sustainability into your project. They can establish and monitoring your plans, and they can provide financial and managemental practice. I will show you now 3 Rotarian initiatives which are very pragmatical. One of the very new is the iRotary from Esrak South Asia, promoted by Shekhar Mehtar, and you will find a database and you can connect with other teams. You can join the iFix the Planet Video Challenge. In the first round, already with a database base of 94 sustainable projects. Or you say, I would like to have a very easy and low-cost climate compensation. Then you invest in these beautiful solar heaters, and you will gain the capacity of spreading beautiful things to families which don't have to cut trees just to burn and to heat water. You can use the smart institution of Rotary Showcase. If you are in a Rotary club or in a Rotary club, you can seek for projects, you can seek partners, and you can join other projects, the Rotary Showcase. What other structures do we need? We might start after this conference with a task force, Rotary for Transition to Sustainability. There's a very good example from Germany, where they're combine from the German Governor Board the activities for help in the Ukraine war. How could your way to transition into sustainability looks like? Well, you have your project ideas, you can present your process, you will be connected in our Rotary ecosystem. And then there are also helpful tools like the Transition Readiness Self-Assessment. I'm looking forward to your contribution. I'm looking forward.
So that didn't cut off, actually. The video terminated at that point. Now, we've heard a lot about transition in these 2 days, and no doubt this is something that we're all working with at all sorts of levels within our personal and our business life. But when you are planning for the future, you need to also understand the past, and particularly the trends and the new approaches within the market. And so our next presenter will be addressing the issue of the changing attitudes of younger generations towards the environment, particularly focusing on conscious consumption, which is a very, very important topic for us all to understand the demand that's coming forward. And to address this, I'm very pleased to introduce a young Rotarian, Dr. Jonas Kütt, who is the Director of Marketing of Kantar, an international specialist data analytics and brand consulting group with offices in 100 countries around the world. Jonas, over to you.
Thank you so much, John. Thank you. And thank you for having me. And I think if we talk about economy and environment in harmony, we have to talk about consumers, because the consumers are the economy. And we are in troubling times, we are in changing times, and therefore I want to present to you a study where we looked at the consumption habits of people all around the world, and I want to talk about my own opinion on what we have to do to consume with more consciousness. So we ask ourselves at Kantar 2 years ago, how do consumers consume and what do they expect from companies and from brands to be perceived as sustainable? And therefore, we did what we can do best. We asked consumers, and we asked them in 35 countries all around the world to better understand their opinion on sustainability. And as we want the study to be used broadly around the world and easy to be understood, of course, we based the study on the Sustainable Development Goals. So we asked the people all around the world, what are the most important factors, what are the triggers for sustainability in your day-to-day consumption life? And it's not all 17 of them. Of course, they're all important, but 7 are of the biggest importance. So it's no poverty, hunger, clear water, sustainable cities, climate action, life below water, and life on land. Those are the 7 sustainable development goals most important for consumers when they decide on which products to buy or which brands to use. And if we look a little closer, then we see that it's mainly focused on economical and environmental topics. You can see the green, sorry, there's no pointer. The green columns, those are all environmental topics that are most important, and the red ones are the social concerns. So luckily, we can see here that hunger and poverty still is an important topic for consumers, but in general, it's more the sustainable environmental topics that concerns them. And as John was so kind to introduce me to show the differences between younger consumers and older consumers, it's like the last moment in my life that I can personally claim that I'm young, because by this definition, young means you have to be 34 or younger, and I will turn 35 on the 25th of April. So it's my last chance to present to you as a young person. But the differences aren't that big, and luckily, not only the young consumers, but also the old consumers want to change something. But it's different on how they want to change and how they want to confront climate change. If you look at younger consumers, and that's all based on data, they are more willing to make changes in their lifestyle. So really profoundly change their life by not buying products anymore, buying secondhand, or becoming vegan or vegetarian. On the other hand side, we have the older consumers, and they try to do their best too, but they are more active in adopting sustainable behaviors. So they try to fit their existing lifestyle into a more sustainable way, or as the Rolling Stones would say, old habits die hard. But they try their best by minimizing food waste, recycling, and taking reusable shopping bags, for example. So it's not only the young generation that wants to help confront the climate change, it's also the older consumers. So if everybody of us is really into sustainability and really into doing something, then I have to ask myself, why are there no alternatives to plastic? And why do we have such abnormal logistics? I found this picture on the right-hand side a couple of weeks ago on Google, and I think that's a nice example on how crazy our world is. If we grow pears in Argentina, then ship them to Thailand to get them chopped and packed into plastic, and then ship them to the north of America and sell them. So, kind of crazy, and not really necessary. And the problem is, and why this still is day-to-day business, because there is a big value action gap, sadly. So what people say that their values are is not what they really do. And as I'm kind of a data guy, so before I became part of our marketing, I used to be data analyst, so I have to apologize, but now I'm going to show you some data. But I think data is very important to understand why there are problems, and especially to understand consumers and how to confront them. And on the one hand side, it's great that 46% are prepared to invest time and money to support companies that do good. But my concerns are that 71% buy something without checking if it's locally produced. 70% buy products without checking the quantity of water used for the production. 70% stick to the diet they know and don't try vegan or vegetarian options. And like we heard yesterday at Barilla, it is the best way to eat, and at the same time, it's the best for the environment. And 70% buy something without checking if it's fair trade. So you see, there is a big gap between what people value and how they really act. And there are reasons why they are acting like that. And one of the most important things, and like I said, it's a global study, so it represents all of us. 82% think that when people shop, their minds is on saving money more than saving the planet. And if the others aren't saving the planet, why should I? Why should I pay more to save the planet if I'm convinced that 82% are just checking the price? At the same time, 75% think that sustainable products are always more expensive. So that's the next barrier we have to overcome to make it understandable that a sustainable lifestyle doesn't have to be expensive. 70% think that people don't have enough information about how sustainable products are produced and what the differences are. And 51% say, well, I would like to do more, but in day-to-day life, I have other priorities. Well, that's the consumer's side, but we also have the companies, which we have to look at. And 61% of the consumers feel like sustainability isn't their responsibility. It's up to the businesses. And that shows that the power in this case is on side of the businesses, but I would never say that the businesses are in charge of it on their own. It's always the consumers who decide. 60% agree that companies must take actions and sacrifices to end topics like racism, xenophobia, and other forms of hate, even if that means that they're losing market shares or other KPIs they're looking at. And if we look at the situation in Ukraine and in Russia at the moment, I think we're at a point that the companies realize that they have responsibility and they have to take actions. And maybe we're on the verge of a new time in the world history where companies restart taking responsibility for what they are doing. Because, and that's the next fact, 51% think that brands have an important part to play in the social conversation. So the companies are expected, the brands are expected that they are involved, but at the same time, and then I stop with numbers, but I think the last one is quite important. 65% of the consumers worldwide worry that brands are involved in social issues just for commercial reasons. And I think this problem we have to overcome. How can we overcome these problems? And what is, in my opinion, the most challenging topics at the moment? Well, the one thing is there are no real sanctions or sufficient incentives for progressive new ideas. We're talking so much about cool ideas, about possibilities on how to change, but at the same time, the big corporations that are dominating the economy, they are still there because the bureaucracy and the existing power structures keep them in power. And because we don't have profound changes, we have to profoundly change the way we do business, the way we consume, to really reach sustainability goals that we have set ourselves. Another thing that I personally think is the most important thing, forcing powerful corporations to be sustainable results in greenwashing. What do I mean with that? For example, we talked about it last night at the dinner table about the big companies who produce plastic bottles. If you force them to stop selling plastic bottles, they just find a way to make the plastic bottle a little bit more sustainable. They find a way by lobbying to convince the single states that it's really important for the supply in the country that they keep on selling plastic bottles. And this is a process that has to be managed in 100, 150 countries if you are talking about the really big plastic bottle producers in the world. But if you convince these companies that the consumers don't want plastic bottles anymore, and the consumers really don't want plastic bottles anymore, and close the value action gap, then these companies just snip with their finger and there are no plastic bottles in the world anymore because they have the power and they have the will to transform. If it means if they won't, then they have to sacrifice their business. That leads to the next point, and I think that's also a crucial one and not really rocket science. But if we keep on focusing on short-term orientation of the companies, then they're going to focus on short-term problems and solve them, because they won't profit from solving the big issues the world has. As I already said, knowledge and education of the consumers. The thing is, most of us think that we know a lot about recycling, about sustainability, but we are often unconsciously sustainable in some areas, but not in others. And that's one point where the education system has to start to really teach us, but not only the young generations, but also the older generations, what does sustainability mean? Because we're all in charge, and we are not just consumers. Every one of us is a multi-stakeholder, and I want to stress this point, because a consumer can say, and I showed you the numbers, consumers say, well, it's the companies who have to change, it's the others who don't change, but it's not my responsibility. But honestly speaking, everybody of us is an employee, an investor, a consumer, a producer, a legislator, a profiteer, but also a sufferer from problems that we create ourselves. So we have to stop hiding behind the fact as a consumer that we can't change anything. We should start changing something. And there's a quite easy way to do something like that, but I want to talk about a guy from my hometown. So I'm from Nuremberg. Nuremberg is mostly known for the funny little sausages, the Christmas market, and of course that emperors and dictators used Nuremberg for their rallies, and we had the Nürnberger Prozesse to take the Nazi the Nazi people into accountability. But we have more to offer. For example, this guy, Ludwig Erhard. He used to be Chancellor of Germany, and he implemented social market economy in Germany. The foundation why we are so successful as a country at the moment, why we have strong social systems. And it's not about social market economy, it's about the idea of taking action, because social market economy isn't something new. The honorable merchant is an idea created in the 12th century here in Italy. Michael E. Porter, a really smart person, he's talking about shared value. But one thing all these three topics are having in common, you have to take responsibility to change something, and that's what we have to do. We have to be responsible for our actions as a consumer, as a society, as a world, because only if we are responsible, only if we are conscious in what we are doing, and one of those things is to be a conscious consumer, we can really address the Sustainable Development Goals and find a solution to become better and to help the climate change to slow down, or maybe even in some areas to rebuild nature and to make the world sustainable for the future. So to end my presentation, I just have to say we all have to be conscious and consistent in what we do. And it's not about the others, it's each single one of us who has to start to change our lives. And the easiest way is to start in the way on how we consume. Thank you so much.
I knew I was looking forward to Jonas's speech from over these last few weeks. So thank you very much, very enlightening. A point, I've actually already received a number of messages, even during that speech, of people asking about the presentations during the conference. We are actually building a separate site to our registration site, which will have the same domain, which will then switch to the new site at which all the presentations of all the speakers that consent to share will be shared, as well as all the photos that our official photographer has been taking over these days. We will, once that's up and running, send a note to all the people registered for the conference to advise you that it's been updated, but it will be the same Rotary conferencevenice.org domain. So thank you, Jonas, again for that. We're introducing a very brief slot now, which has not been on your program, which is actually related to the crisis evolving as a result of the war in Ukraine. And I'd like to introduce to you Karlis Bankovic. I hope I've got the pronunciation right of that. And he is the country representative of Rotaract for Latvia, and he's going to be sharing some of the activities that have already sprouted in the Rotaract world. Thank you.
Good morning, Rotarians. How are you today? I can't hear you? Great. Happy to see you in Venice. I'm here today to represent Rotaract Europe. And as the next Rotaract Europe president, I am being as active as possible to show the best example. I'll talk about the current situation in Ukraine. Everybody knows what's happening there. There is a real war. I feel what they are going through very deeply because I'm from Latvia. We are sharing the same tough history. Yes, so weekly we are having Rotaract European meetings with the country representatives from each country and the board. Every week we are assessing what's the progress, how successfully we've helped Ukrainian Rotaractors about the transportation of goods, medicine, food, and different other important things. It's very insightful and it's connecting us a lot, and now we can really see the power of Rotaract and Rotary. Yes, adapting to the current situation, we are very fast to act and set up a couple of fundraisers in different countries, and now also we have Rotaract Europe Aid to Ukraine fundraising campaign, so we can raise money as fast and as much as we can. And it's also very important to be able to fundraise money not through the bank transfers, which are relatively long, but like one-click payments, which is super important nowadays. Yes, also adapting to the situation, we reached out through our connections in Rotary to Rotary 1 in Chicago. And now we are working to get 25,000 emergency aid to buy medical supplies. Here I can tell you it's very important to connect to Rotary and Rotaract because I reach out to Rotary Riga International members. They're very well connected in Latvia. And I asked them, how can we cooperate? They said they raised around 200,000 to deliver medical supplements, narcotics, different very, very strong medicine for surgeries to Ukraine. They had the whole process ready, but they did not have any company that has a wholesale license to transport and carry narcotics. So I reached out to Rotaractors from Lviv, Kiev, different other cities, and in a couple of hours, they got me a person, a Rotaractor who's turning Rotarian, who's the brain surgeon in Lviv hospital. And through that easily, I would say, through just 1 or 2 calls, we solved this problem. Here you can see 3 videos, what we've done in Latvia in a couple of weeks. First video is my trip to Ukraine. I was there myself 2 weeks ago. I organized 5 cargo vans with medical supply, with food, blankets, diapers, which are crucially important. And I went there for an important, probably my most important journey in life. It was 1,100 kilometers drive with 5 vans, as I said, and 4 Rotaractors, plus a couple of more volunteers. It was deeply, I can't even explain, but it was deeply sad to see women with young kids, with a small carry-on luggage, which is for us always for traveling, it's too small, right, to carry all the goods we need. But they are carrying everything they have. And most likely their husband is fighting in the front lines. It was eye-opening and important for everybody to see. So here you can see the video on our YouTube channel. It's EUCO Riga 2022. Please check it afterwards. Also, last week I got interviewed by Rotary Berlin Club about how Rotaract Europe is acting these weeks, how we are helping, what is the strategy for me as the next Rotaract European president for the next year, how we are adapting in European Convention, which will take place in Riga for 900 Rotaractors. For 5 days, we have a huge convention, and now we are changing the program to help Ukraine as much as we can, to raise awareness, raise funds, have different workshops about the projects, how we can help the most efficient way. And we are also fundraising money from private donors and companies, so Ukrainian Rotaractors can come to the conference for free. And the third interview is with the NGO, which Rotaract Latvia clubs are cooperating to transport the goods to Ukraine, to fundraise the money for gas, because as we all know, gas is very expensive. Reaching out our connections, we solved to get 5,000 euro from one of the gas companies for the diesel for transportation. Here you can see a couple of pictures. The first one was the 5 vans is from Polish-Ukrainian border, very close, where was our NGO warehouse, where we stored all our goods, and we transported also from there one more trip to Ukrainian side. On the right side of the picture, you can see there is a big truck that's in Serbia, and transporting it directly to Ukraine. On the left corner, you can see the bus arriving with people from Poland, Ukrainians, and staying in Latvia. Hopefully not for long, and soon they can return home. And a couple of more pictures of Rotaractors collecting goods to supply to Ukraine. Yes, I was also helping two more Ukrainian girls coming to Riga. They didn't want to go to countryside to stay in some state hotels and places, facilities. They decided to come to Riga for the better work opportunities. And actually, because of our network, we helped them within a half a day, in a couple of hours, to get one girl a dentist job in a very good clinic and another a manicure expert. Yes, here you can see me attending the biggest protest and support action for Ukraine. And this is the flag we created, Rotaractors. It's only 12 meters long. We could not get longer. I would say together we are strong, and especially in crisis situations like these, we understand how strong we actually are and how big is our network. Without Rotary, I don't know how much I could contribute than just donating a couple of hundreds. Let's connect and have even bigger impact all together, and let's have peace in Ukraine. Thank you very much.
Makes us all think. Okay, we're going to go back to another Venice example now as we start to wind towards the termination of the sessions today. And we're going to be tackling an issue which is extremely important for everyone, but even more important here in Venice, which is the management of waste to ensure a greener environment. And I'd like to introduce to you Francesco Valentino, who is an assistant professor in industrial and chemical processes at the Department of Environmental Sciences, Informatics and Statistics at Ca' Foscari University here in Venice.
Thank you, John. Good morning first. As John told you, I'm a professor from Ca' Foscari University at the Department of Environmental Science. So I'll try to be clear as much as I can because I don't have an idea how you are prepared for some concept. Maybe it's too technical. So I'll try to be simple and to understand you, to try to simplify the illustration of one of our projects that we recently closed in the frame of waste management sectors. Given that in the Environmental Science Department, our research activities is strongly connected to the Circular Economy Action Plan and the European Green Deal. So we are trying to take the new advantages from the waste that we itself are producing every day and try to give a new life for new products to be spread in the market, hopefully. So the technology is focused on the waste transformation. But basically, the waste that we are included in the human activities, so in the urban scenarios, so especially the food waste that we produce every day in our houses. Not only the food waste, because in urban scenarios we have many types of waste actually. The food waste is the first one in the slides on the left, and but the other waste are completely as well rich in organic material. When I talk about sludge, for example, probably most of you don't know, but the sludge is the biological biomass that came from the treatment of the wastewaters. The waters comes from your houses that can be treated in a dedicated plant, so just to purify the water, to give you pure water, but from the other side it produces sludge, which still is a waste. And we need to try to get new life to this material. How? For the benchmarking scenarios, we are very robust in the technologies for the production of the bioenergy. But we will try to move forward to this option. So not only bioenergy, we can produce more products that can solve some problems, especially related to the plastics and to the plastics not biodegradable. But how? Basically, in our activities that we developed in this project, we focused on the two types of wastes, the food and the sludge. Try to give you new life, as I told you before. But the technology it's quite simple, and also because it's very interesting, also in consideration of the new European strategies in the bioplastic market. The bioplastic market will increase very fast. But be careful, because not all the bioplastics are completely biodegradable. This is not true. And also, not all the bioplastics are produced from wastes. So we are trying to answer to both questions, producing one material that have both characteristics. The polyhydroxyalkanoates is a typical bioplastics material that completely biodegradable and can be produced completely from the wastes. So if you see from the granules inside the cells, as you see in the right part of the slides, you saw the granules insoluble inside the cells that could be separated from the cells and can give you the material with very, very interesting properties that you can find as a solution for a large number of applications. The process related to the production of this material is quite simple because it's totally biological. We don't use chemicals. We just need to functionalize some bacteria with no external enzymes for producing this material. And why the PHA is so appealing? Because, as I told you before, it's completely biodegradable. It's completely controlled by the enzymes inside the cells. And at this moment, there is no any competition with the food chain, because we utilize the food waste, not just the glucose or sucrose as the PHA already existing in the market. On the left side, you see the actual scenario. The PHA is already in the market, but it's very, very expensive because it's used sterile condition and no wastes, but just the purified substrate. Our technologies is try to answer to this very big limit in order to facilitate the spreading of the polymer in the market. So we utilize the mixed culture solution, not just a single bacteria, that we can produce from the plant and for the production of this kind of biopolymers, very interesting biopolymer. Try to reduce totally the cost because we use a waste and we use the mixed cultures that not require sterilization. So this is the plant where we make the activities. This is the plant for the wastewater treatment in Treviso, because we have a separate section of Ca' Foscari there, where we have the experimental area for our experimental plant. Why the Treviso wastewater treatment plant? Because we can get easily both the sludge and the food waste that we can recover weekly. And this is the experimental pilot systems that I developed with other PhD students, with our researchers, in collaboration also with other universities, inside this project that I told you at the end of the presentation. Just a few words, because it's too technical, but just to give you an idea, could be, it seems complicated, but it's not. It's just something that we developed over all the year and try to find the best solution how to treat the waste, how to transform the waste into new products. As I told you, we start from sludge and food waste, the two carbon sources. For now, at this moment, no more waste. Why? Because we produced the process in different steps. So we start from fermentation step, and then aerobic step for the biomass synthesis and the granule synthesis. And at the end, we were able to separate the granule insoluble to produce the white powder that you see at the end. So the white powder coming directly from a waste. So it could be a solution, because in that case, you can use the white powder to make the products that you utilized also during the day, or in the supermarket as a packaging material, as plastic bags, but totally biodegradable. This is the advantages. Just to give you an overview about the waste transformation. So we start from very dirty material, because the sludge is dirty, the food waste is also dirty. It's a sort of pre-treated, but it's dirty. The process, it's totally biological, and with the help of the microorganisms, here the picture also of the microorganisms, the main responsible of this sort of miracle of this waste transformation are the bacteria, the orange one that you see in the picture. They can transform the waste into the final bioresources. In the last part of the slides, you see the final biomass. It's more white, no, of course, compared to the initial one, which still needs to be purified for the production of the white powder. The white powder is the final products. So basically, our idea is to include a new sectors. As a researcher, we are responsible for the pink boxes. The pink boxes up to now doesn't exist. So we need to improve the technology to pass the scale line. We are not dealing anymore to the laboratory scale experiments. We are going to the pilot experiments. We need to increase again and to propose new industrial plan for this kind of solution. So our mission is to find a good connection between the waste management sectors that produce the food waste, the water utilities, which is another big reality in the municipalities. All the companies are responsible for the purification of the waters, and then try to be connected with the new plastic industry. The plastic industry, of course, already exists, but they don't make care about our material, because we need to produce tons of this material, just to be sure that this material could be utilized. But inside this project, we produce some prototypes that I will show you in a few slides. This is one of them. So in practice, the white powder has been utilized by Sabio Materials, which is our partners, Italian partners actually, very interesting in these materials. Try to, with the extruder and then the blow molding injection, we produce kilos of packaging. Try to think about the not biodegradable packaging that you have in the supermarket, for example. Now the company starts to substitute a little bit the plastic packaging with the paper-based packaging, but it's not enough. Absolutely is not enough. But we have the option now to utilize the waste for the new packaging. So the waste is something that is not a petroleum, it's something that we produce every day, forever. So it's a source that we have forever. So why don't we can try to get a new life with this kind of products? So this is the main concept that we need to follow. And this is not the only one. We collaborate in the project with the Sabio Materials and the MiPlast in this slide. MiPlast is a Croatian company responsible for the production of the packaging. And also the flexible handles. We found that our material is very specialized for this kind of application, the flexible handle and other kind of prototypes that can be utilized as durables materials. So any kind of packaging not only related to the food contact. Since we are dealing with urban waste, the urban waste included also the green part of the waste. So the lignocellulosic biomass, the green area, the parks, and all these, all the activities related to the parks produce green waste. The green waste can be utilized as a filler with all the other material produced from food waste for a finer material that we see on the bottom of the slides. And then the last application, the electrospinning, is quite new actually. Because this is the Bionicia is our partner, is also a company, the Spanish company that produce multi-layers films, which is another kind of application that we can make starting from our material. The multi-layers produce the packaging material and with the very, very interesting property, barrier properties. So they can regulate the water permeability, the CO2 permeability, just to preserve more the food quality. So again, the waste that can be utilized for a food packaging application in a more technology way, just to preserve and to prevent any degradation of the food. So basically, just a few words I would like to spend because this project is just a small part of our research plan that we can follow. And it was totally funded by European Commission. Of course, we have a university, so we need to be fast in a project writing and get funding. All these activities has been included inside the Resurbis project. The project was totally funded by European Commission in the frame of Horizon 2020 program and coordinated by University of La Sapienza of Rome. So Ca' Foscari was included in the consortium, which is a partner academic, one of the academic partners of the projects. The name is also something that needs to be linked to the cities. So Resurbis means all the goods and fairs all related to the cities. So in 3 years, we developed the systems to take care about the cities and to to try to give a new life to the waste that we itself production. So your contribution is fundamental. Our contribution as a researcher is also fundamental to find a new solution, but all together we need to cooperate to find a new solution for our world. This is just the summary of all the partners that was included in the projects. There is also, of course, a website dedicated to the project with some information that I did not include in this presentation. We have universities, but also industry and territorial clusters. Why territorial clusters? Because we applied the resurbis methods in different geographical area. So I just explain you the situation of the Northeast Italy, represented by the Treviso city, but we applied also the resurbis approach in the different cities. Larger, of course, because Lisbon is larger, Barcelona metropolitan area is larger, and South Wales as well is larger. So all the cities gave us different inputs and different options for the waste management and for the product's characteristics. For any question, of course, I'm available after, and I would like to thank you for your attention.
Grazie. Thank you, Francesco. So we've got a very interesting slot now planned for you. All the districts of Italy, all 14 districts, ran a project for Rotaract within each of the 14 districts, which is referred to as a Hack for the Planet. And this was a project which was coordinated by Sergio Duglio, who's the current District Governor of District 2050, and I'd like to hand over to Sergio to explain the concept and take the session forward. That's it, Sergio.
Thank you, John. Actually, I was not really the coordinator. I'm only the speaker. I was elected speaker by my very kind friends, and so that's the reason why I'm here today. So, getting to the title, I guess if I say next, here we go. Sorry, this one first. I'm sure if you looked at the program of the conference today, in the title of this lot, there are at least two words which sounded to you and made a bit unfamiliar and made you wonder. The first word is ULIF, and the second word is hackathon. I will not explain anything about ULIF, because you will learn more about that in a few moments. So my role is to tell you something about the hackathon. And I'll try to do that by telling you who was behind that, why we decided to go for that, and what is the hackathon about, and when that was made. So, who? You see us. As John already said, this was a project, one of the many, I'm very proud to say, that all we 14 governors of the 14 Italian districts of Italy, Malta, and San Marino decided to go together, to do together. And I think this is a very relevant point, because as I mentioned here, it's a sign of common vision and unity of intent. And this does not come occasionally. It was the result of a strong friendship that developed amongst us in the past year, in the past 1.5 years. So we became friends, we decided to act together, and that was one of, as I said, many projects that we did together, the hackathon. I'm sure my fellow governors recognize this picture, because it was the very, very initial moment of our journey together, a very beautiful moment. So, second point, to care, why we did it. We did it to care for our future. And so to foster in the new generation, in the young generations, the development of a true sustainability consciousness. Actually, in the title that you saw on my first slide, there were two words that I'd like to draw your attention on. There was the word new generations, and there was the word sustainability. So I think the idea of putting together with a strong focus on learning and inspiring this sustainability consciousness into the young generation, that was something that was definitely paramount for the project that we decided to do together. So that is why we did it. What? Well, this is a classic picture of a hackathon. A hackathon comes from, I would say, the tradition of activities that are done in the field of information technology. It comes from the say, synthesis of two words, hacker marathon. So initially, that was when you put a set of brilliant brains in a confined room for 24 hours, and or 40 or 48 hours, and you ask them to develop new ideas. And so that was our hackathon. But our hackathon was a bit different because we wanted to inspire ideas in the field of sustainability. And actually, the hackathon came at the end of a journey that lasted for 2 months. During these journeys, all the younger generations, all the people who participated in this wonderful initiative had a chance of learning about sustainability, the main concepts about that, and that led them to then develop their ideas in this intense 24 hours plus time of activity during a weekend when this hackathon was actually celebrated. And that was beautiful. It was beautiful. Just to give an idea, they received a final briefing about the contents they had to develop during the weekend on the Saturday morning. And by Sunday lunchtime, they had to be ready with their presentations. And that was amazing how good they could handle that. So what was that in more details? I think we have learned and heard a lot about the sustainability goals, and of course that was a major part of the journey that I had to follow to arrive to the hackathon. And then the 3 main P. In the presentation of Sergio Almeida, I guess, yesterday morning, we heard about the relevance of the 3 P, people, planet, and prosperity. And here it is discovered the meaning of the logo. This is our logo. And you see the circular shape of the goals, as well as the, say, stylish interpretation of the P's for people, planet, and prosperity. So our logo carries, the logo of the Hack for the Planet Hackathon carries the meaning of what we wanted to do with this project service that we did all together. So when was that? October 16 and 17, 2021. That is when the hackathon was celebrated. Online, of course, we wish we could have done it in person, but unfortunately the situation with the pandemic didn't allow us to go along that way. But nevertheless, it was a beautiful occasion. And since we learned yesterday the relevance of partnership, in this case too, we took advantage of very relevant partnerships. So behind us, we had Scuola di Robotica, which is an institution based in Genoa, very much acquainted in organizing, say, events like the one that we had online. We had the network of the Italian University for Sustainability, and we had the Association of the Rectors of all the Italian universities. So 2 very relevant, very strong, very important scientific partners. So a little bit of facts and figures about the hackathon. We had 350 participants, quite a huge number, amazing, a big success. 35 teams. Teams made of university students, Rotaractors, and Interactors. So we wanted to look both at the Rotarian world as well as to the world that was outside us, and that was also a way of making ourselves visible and understood by those who look at us from outside our say, perimeter of Rotary. 35 projects and 35 presentations, all in one day at the final moment of our hackathon. 7 evaluation committees. This is very relevant because there were 35 members of this committee that listened to the presentation and finally evaluated the project. And one thing I want to mention here is that our partners, all our partners, were not only members of these committees, but they did something more, which I'll tell you in a second. As in all contests, there are winners. There were 3 major prizes. One is the first one, and I will not spoil it and let my friends introduce it to you. But 2 more prizes were actually assigned, and one of them is worth being mentioned because it was a special prize wanted, decided, and conceived by our partners on the topic of empowering girls. So we selected a project among the 35 which were presented that best encapsulated the idea and the concept of empowering girls. And I'm very happy to say that these prize went to a team of interactors from this district, from the area of, from 2060. So compliment to Raffaele and the team. And the second one, the last one, was for interactors, and that was assigned to a team from District 2120 from Apulia. And of course, it was an intensive work, a lot of wonderful ideas and fun. And just to share with you a little bit of that fun, let me show you this short video.
Con l'integrazione dei pannelli.
Il nostro team vi salutano tutti che hanno...
Dunque, per quanto invece riguarda come funziona effettivamente l'app, ovvero andiamo in...
che comunque troveremo, ripeto, abbiamo pensato di mettere delle enormi vasche .
So before handing over and disclosing the winners, let me just add a final comment, and I'm sure I'm here, interpreting the ideas and also the joy of my fellow governors, seeing these 350 young minds at work in an intensive weekend, developing brilliant ideas in all the 35 presentations. By the way, all the presentations are available, will be available on YouTube. It was really a moment of great, satisfaction and great joy. I think we perfectly delivered a high-quality service by developing a consciousness on sustainability, as I said, and also fostering that in young generations, a perfect match. So now I will disclose the winners and hand over to Maria Vittoria.
Buongiorno a tutti. Good morning to everyone. Thank you, Sergio, for your introduction. And also, let me thank all the district governors of Italy, Malta, and San Marino for the opportunity and the possibility they gave us to be here today. Allow us to give a special thank and a kind words of, again, thanking to our district governor and his whole team for the huge and vivacious support, Costantina Starita. For the huge and vivacious, vigorous support they had for us from the very beginning of this experience. Here we are. Actually, it's only 5 today for work reason, but we're 10 Rotaractors from District 2101, Campania, students and professional, as you can see, all with different backgrounds, expertises and skills, but with one common goal, which is ecology as the key to get in touch with the environment for a sustainable future. To plan the future, to design our green cities, to convert people for an eco-friendly life, to plant how you live. The numbers of PMI pollution are awful. You can see them on the slide. But maybe the worst thing of all is that we do live a pollution-based life. And by all means, we're not that willing to give it up. But if we are the problem, we can be the solution.
You are the change. You are urban. You are green. You are. You. You live, change, urban, green. You.
Our president, Shekhar Mehtar, always says that we have both the magic and the power to serve to change life. And we try to imagine what could we achieve if we are the change ourselves. And this is how ULIF started. We thought of something that could be a forest right into our neighbors. It's based on a water pollution urban capturing technology with an efficacy powers of 95%. But it's not only that. As the EU Parliament President Roberta Metsola said to us in video yesterday, the new technology, the new industry cannot only be tech, it also has to be to have a systemic and global approach. And this is what we did. Not only the technology, again, we have an innovative technology with an air pollution filter capturing 95% removal efficiency, but there's also a decision-making tool to support the governance on where to put the tool, and also a program for the citizen, for the community in which we plan to live, to raise awareness and build an environmentally conscious community. But ULIF, it's very nice to put it into squares, into roundabouts, in the light version. Then we also have the tree version and the seed version. Apart from the technology, it was again based on a scrubber. We have the DMST model. So this is a software that takes into account different kinds of data, both, I would say, natural and anthropic, social data, and give out the best location in a given municipality to make the planting of this ULIF more effective, more impactful. And then there is the awareness campaign. We planned a whole protocol that can be targeted on a given community with all the best and ultimate techniques on science communication to involve the citizens. So citizen science, evidence-based science communication, and serious games in order to attract both kids and elderly equivalent. But there is a way to, I would say, compute what is the economic equivalent of the social impact that you can make with a project. We assessed it with our project, only considering what is the improvement on health, what is the impact of health. We got almost €8 return on €1 investment as, again, a social equivalent. But again, it's only health. We need to consider environment, education, urban competitiveness, and many more factors into the account. Of course, this is just the beginning of this process. So we have strengths, but we always also have things to improve. We need to work on the energy usage of the tech and so on. But we have many potentials to grow. And I think the best features that we are proud of is that ULIF was never conceived as a project to be sold, rather as a service to our community and possibly our planet. We do have a roadmap in place for the future. With this roadmap comes partners. Of course, you see Rotary as one of the main ones for us, because this was born thanks to Rotary. The efficiency of YouLive, it's improved when you have it in a capillary way. The same capillarity that is one of the key points of the Rotary International Network and gives it power that it has. As Sergio said, the Hack for the Planet started from the SDGs. So it's only natural that YouLive has the ability to impact on almost 40% of them. Of course, by removing PMI from the atmosphere, it helps growing a good health and well-being, but it also helps in the development of sustainable cities and community. It takes action on climate change. It also improves life on land, because with the awareness campaign, citizens becomes in a way more responsible and conscious of their own life. So protecting the environment and the health of the society becomes their own natural philosophy, I would say. And then, of course, YouLive was born through a Rotary mindset. So we deeply understand what a connection, what it's the importance of working with other organizations in our community and with the governance in our community. So, of course, the partnership for the goals, it's what suits us. Hack for the Planet was born, we got a great experience from that, but we also are in a pretty particular point. We enjoyed it both as a Rotarian perspective, because we knew about the organization, but we also experienced it from a user perspective, so we can give you back a feedback as user too. And it was, I have to say, a great opportunity to empower ourselves, to grow, even professionally, to engage with other cultures too, to improve our fellowship and our passion towards this network. Thanks to the prize we had the possibility, so giving to Expo, going to Expo, we had the possibility of meeting different cultures and exchange ideas of service with the Rotarians and Rotaractors in Dubai and here today. Again, Sergio said that the Hack for the Planet was born into, I would say, the area of focus of the environment, but we can say that it also impacted two other areas of focus. Growing local economies. We are deciding to funding a startup that might be included in the proposal for a global grant, and also peace building and conflict resolution. By the prizes that were given to us, again in Expo in here, we made the best use of the Rotary network to confront ourselves with different cultures, with other cultures. And let me give you a little hint of that. If you want to know a little bit more about us, you can scan the QR code or check the poster outside. Before thanking for the last time all the districts in Italy, Malta, and San Marino, it is only natural for us to dedicate our whole experience and today's participation here to our Ukrainian Rotaract friends with whom we keep in constant contact. Because the Rotary Fellowship, its experience is first and foremost an experience of solidarity, compassion, and thus peace. So we also want to extend this dedication to all the youth who's actually right now in a war. In one of the wards, they are afflicting this rolling wards of ours. They not only cannot experience the privilege of being with us today, but many times they cannot even enjoy the privilege of their own human rights. Thanks.
How inspiring was that? I'm actually reminded of a phrase that I had used at the Institute in Catania when we had a Rotaractor on stage there, which was that I think we Rotarians rather arrogantly think that our role is to mentor the Rotaractors. It needs to go the other way around. These Rotaractors inspire us. This is the Rotary, not of the future, it's the Rotary of the present. So congratulations to that team. It's now very much my pleasure also to introduce to you Rotary International Director Nicki Scott, who many of you already know. Nicki is a current serving director. She is Vice President-elect, so she will be Vice President next year. In her professional life, she's also a partner of the Trusted Executive Foundation in the United Kingdom, and she's going to be addressing the topic of from inspiration, of which we've had lots, now to action. Nicki, over to you.
Good to see you. Oh, wow. Does everyone feel as inspired as I am? Right? Hasn't that been an amazing time so far? I thought yesterday was amazing and off the charts. Then we had this superb dinner and show, this spectacular show of getting ourselves into the roots of Venice last night. And then today, so many more inspiring talks and speeches. I don't know if Professor Carlo is still here. I love your vision. I love your vision. Venice, the oldest city of the future. So thinking big. He's teaching us to think big. Thank you so much. Venice, I think, is some place I have now fallen in love with. What a beautiful place to pick for this fantastic conference, President Shekhar, on the economy and the environment in harmony. I can't think of anywhere better. When we think about the impact of the environment is having on Venice with the rising sea levels, and that in 2019 so much of it was underwater, that's our heritage. That's where we've come from. And in Rotary, of course, we need to basically embrace our heritage with pride. So I had a fantastic time on Thursday. I was lucky enough to come in early, and in one day on Thursday, from 9:30 to 11:30 at night, I walked 11 miles in Venice. I did a gondola ride, I did a walking tour, I had a fabulous leisurely lunch with the imperative Aperol Spritzer, of course, and then went on to look at this fantastic Basilica di Marco, and ended up in the evening at a Vivaldi concert of the Four Seasons, where Vivaldi's birthplace. It doesn't get any better than that. I totally believe you, Professor Carlo, when you say, if we stay here for 3 months, we probably would never leave. Absolutely fallen in love. And then on Friday morning, before coming to this hotel and this convention, or this conference, I actually had an opportunity to go to the Leonardo da Vinci Museum. If you haven't had a chance, I recommend it, because that is a man that is just mind-blowing. How did anyone ever achieve so much in one lifetime? Not only was Leonardo a painter, he was an anatomist, a botanist, I'm trying to think of all the words. You know, I think he's an astronomer, right? He was a futurist. He did so much and achieved so much. He was definitely a man ahead of his time and epitomized the Renaissance humanist idea. He looked into flying. He foresaw the concept of a tank, and he even foresaw solar power. Sadly, a lot of his discoveries were lost for a long time until recently, and they emerged. So this is our chance, isn't it, as Rotary? We now have to become the future and embrace this opportunity to translate this inspiration into action. Given how busy he was, we call ourselves people of action, right? We can do this. So that's important for sure. Business is the science of human services. The environment has been fairly recent to the world of Rotary, but the economy has been here ever present. Back in 1911, at the very first, the second actually, Rotary Convention in Portland, Oregon, USA, was when Paul Harris coined the phrase, "He profits most who serves best." That, of course, translated into our service above self motto, and ultimately into this year's theme of serve to change lives. In these times of huge uncertainty and monumental world challenges and ever-increasing urgency, one thing is for sure: positive change is essential, and it has to be sustainable. Ironically, this horrendous pandemic of COVID has reminded everyone of just how interconnected we are, just like those trees and the roots, right, of the interconnectedness of Rotary. We have learned from nature that we are better together. Yesterday, we heard one of our speakers talk about the concept, United Nations concept of build back better. My preference and my favorite is to say, build forward better, right? We have to build forward. Let's embrace this opportunity to have real change. Who loves change? Anybody out there? There's a few. Yes, me too. Okay, there's a few of us. That's good. It's nothing to be afraid of, right? Because it is our future. It is our opportunity. Paul Harris himself said, "This is a changing world. We must be prepared to change with it. The story of Rotary will have to be written again and again. And now is the time." I go back to President Holger's theme, with all the doors open. You know, COVID has accelerated change so much in our world of Rotary. That was very much prophetizing the future. The doors are open. We're no longer meeting behind closed doors in private spaces. We're now much more visible. And through the magic of technology, we are increasing our ability to adapt, and people are seeing us and able to join us on these platforms in the same way as you are now sharing this wonderful conference online. In London, I don't actually live in London, I live in England, in the countryside, but in London, in the city, you probably have come across the Underground. Anyone who's been to London, you know the Underground? The train underground? And we have this phrase, mind the gap. Does that ring a bell? Mind the gap. This last 2 days, we have heard about so many gaps, right? The gap in the Sustainable Development Goals of where we want to be by 2030 compared to where we are now today. I love this phrase, Jonas, this morning, of the value action gap, right? What we value and what we say we want to do, but we don't actually do it. We don't change our habits. It's that value action gap. So now we have to do this. We have to bridge this gap from the inspiration we've received into action. President Shekhar himself, yesterday morning, started this conference by saying, we need a roadmap. We need an action plan to make this change. What can we as individuals do? What can we eat differently, wear differently, consume differently? Jonas, I'm in that over 55 gap, sadly, but I do actually drink my water out of a bottle. It isn't plastic. At least I'm doing something, right? So we can all do something little to make these changes. So that's what we can do differently, to reduce our waste, as we heard this morning. But what can businesses do? And then the big question is, how can Rotary help connect all of that and bridge the gap between this traditionally for-profit world with the non-profit world? So I would like to talk to you about an opportunity I see of an intersect between 3 different movements. And those opportunities came to me, or that inspiration came to me from 3 roles in my own life. First, as a mother. Secondly, as a professional in the work I do. And thirdly, of course, as a Rotarian. I joined Rotary in the year 2000. My children were just 7 and 5 at the time, Sam and Chloe. And I joined in the birthplace district of Chicago. That's where I joined the organization. I lived in Chicago for 25 years, and this was the beginning of my time there. I didn't have any family, and when I joined Rotary, I immediately felt at home. I immediately had a sense of community. The children saw me join for networking because I joined because of my job. I wanted to meet the movers and shakers of the local town and put them together for business. But I soon found community, and I soon found friendship. People that would go give anything to basically support each other. But as you will all know, when we join Rotary, we may join for networking, but we soon get a taste for service. And we get a taste of that real sense of belonging and a sense of purpose, as Sergio talked about yesterday, Sergio Almeida, and that sense of purpose and belonging. It's fantastic. I had an extraordinary opportunity. My children were pretty well raised in the values of Rotary, and we had an extraordinary opportunity in the year 2005, because the Rotary International Convention that year was held back in Chicago, where we started Rotary. And the club president at the time came to me as the international chair of the club, and he said, "I'd like to do an international project in Zambia. It's the poorest country in the world, you know." And I said, "I know." He said, "How do you know?" I said, "Well, my husband was born there." And I said, "There's no such thing as coincidence in Rotary, because when I first met Will, we decided that when our children were old enough, we would take them to his birthplace so they would understand how different it was to not be raised in a privileged area like they were in Chicago." It had an extraordinary impact on their lives. To be surrounded in Chicago, in Naperville actually, in a suburb of Chicago, with children who were worried, their peers were worried about where they were going to get their next iPhone if it was broken, or the next pair of Nike shoes, to go to Zambia and be amongst people who didn't even know when they were going to next eat. That transformed who they are as individuals and has stayed with them through to today. My daughter, Chloe, actually went on to be a sustainable development and non-profit major in university and is still working in that field. So now as adults, they're 28 and 26 now, boy, time flies. They both have a very global mindset, as do many of the younger generations, right? They're actually digital nomads, both of them. Have you heard that term? So they both work in this new world of work where they're traveling the world, but they work full-time remotely. Why wasn't that available when I was starting my career? That's what I want to know. What a wonderful opportunity. So they have a desire to make a difference, but they don't feel a need to separate their career from the way that they volunteer and they give back. They are looking for companies who help them do it all at the same time in the same place. And we must learn from that. Gone are the days when business and personal life were separate and constrained, because now, with the embracing of technology, we can be connected anytime, any day or any night. And of course, we are a 24-hour world. There's always somebody in the world of the 24 hours that is working, as we have found out in our Rotary Zoom lives, correct? We can connect with anyone at any time. So we need to present this opportunity to volunteer. And there are amazing trends in volunteering that are very different to how we learned Rotary, or I speak generally for the older generation, the more experienced Rotarians, I should say, where we were very focused on a club and we were very focused on attendance, and it was that you had to come every week. Not so much these days. The younger generations, they might want to micro-volunteer. They might just want to do a little bit. They might want to do something episodic, dip in, dip out, do one project, something that really stirs their passion. They're much more cause-based focus, and they want more flexibility, for sure. And they feel that they can align the work, their paid work, to their personal values and their passions. It's a growing movement of global citizenship. And this is an organization you may well have heard about because President-elect Jennifer worked with the global citizens in Paris. It's a huge movement. And what's so cool about them is they're very clear on the very cause-based initiative to end poverty. And they also are very good at measuring their impact. There's a lot we can learn. So secondly, the second movement was from my professional, my working life. As John told you, I'm privileged to work as a business development partner for the Trusted Executive Foundation. We're an organization that helps leaders believe in the power of trust instead of trusting in power, building a much more flat-level organization. And those are people, these leaders we work with, are very much focused on this triple bottom line of the people, the profit, and the planet, or the prosperity, as we've heard from several speakers already. My colleagues and I often talk about this new world of work that my children now find themselves in, where we can be remote working, and we have this flexibility to do it all. Doing good in the world used to be more limited to the charitable sector, the third sector. I have no reason why we have to be the third sector. Why can't we be the first sector, the charitable world, right? Putting the planet and the profit and the people first. So this is what we need to do. And there's a growing movement in the business world of purpose-driven corporate leaders. Jonas, you talked about, are we there yet? I really do believe that we have reached a critical mass. It's not a new concept. John Elkington coined the phrase of the triple bottom line back in 1994. But only now are we truly gaining traction because of this increasing sense of urgency around sustaining our planet and the world that we live in. It's all about redefining success to be more than just financial gain. It's that multi-stakeholder concept. We've got to look at the value creation for all those impacted by business decisions, the customers, the employees, the suppliers, our local and our global community, and of course, Mother Earth. The business that strengthens the economy and the environment, works in harmony with the environment, is the one that will continue to succeed long into the future. It's when you put cause over profit and look at reducing that carbon footprint. That is what's going to attract and retain these global citizens. So now we start to see the intersect, right? Because these global citizens want to be able to do it at work. And the average tenure of many people in the younger generations for a job is 2.2 years. That's very hard on a business when they're constantly having to look at this great resignation and people moving all the time. They want to hold, they want to build loyalty in their employee workforce. So there's a win-win between those two coming together and embracing those global citizens. There's this now very wonderful ray of light in B Corps. Has anyone heard of B Corps? Right? It's very easy way to remember a B Corp. They are dedicated not to being the best in the world, but being the best for the world. Isn't that a lovely difference? I love that. Using business as a force for good. In 2020, Harvard Business School graduate Kelsey Miller, she wrote an article on strategic partnerships. We heard yesterday from Tom Thorferson, our strategy director of Rotary International, and she wrote this article on strategic partnerships. And she said, non-profit, the business world should be partnering with non-profit organizations with a common purpose and a goal. Do you see where I'm going here? Right, connecting those dots. So let's move away from this delineation between for-profit and not-for-profit. Rotary is that answer to bridge the gap. And we can just do for good, right? Never mind for profit, not for profit. How about just for good? And this is the time. This is the time to bring a win-win-win opposition and proposition. So Rotary can be that conduit and that connector between companies and global citizens. We have so much to offer the corporate world and those they seek to employ. Those people, by the way, those global citizens, they're all Rotarians. They just don't know it yet, right? And that's our job, to talk about let them know how fantastic this organization that we all have the privilege to belong to is. By working together, we all win. The company wins by attracting and retaining those employees. The global citizen wins by getting connected to our global network of 1.4 million Rotaractors and Rotarians. And Rotary wins because we now can appeal to the corporate world, those working generations, right, that we have a gap. We can bridge that generational gap. It's a win-win-win proposition. And so finally, I come to my experience as a Rotarian, number 3. Having joined Rotary in the birthplace district of Chicago, and the history and heritage was very much an important part of my learning about Rotary. I learned about the ethical principles and the values that we were built on that were so strong. And I think it's very important as leaders to know where we're leading from, as well as where we're leading to. I was fortunate to join the Strategic Planning Committee of Rotary International in 2015 and served on that for 3 years. So I am a huge champion of our lovely vision statement. And I know you know it now, so I'm going to ask you all to say it with me. Are you ready? Make sure you're all awake. Together, we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. That is my favorite part of that triad. Rotary, as I've told you almost already, has been the gift that's not just given to me, but it's given to my children. It truly is that gift that just keeps giving. And so I ask you today, who have you given that gift to? Right? Each one bring one. Give them the gift of Rotary. It is amazing. I've grown so much personally through Rotary in service to others. I have learned so much personal leadership development, and I don't think we sell that nearly enough in Rotary. Leadership development through service. You know, it takes a lot more leadership muscle to lead leaders than it does followers. And so I think we could give any business school a run for their money in terms of the real-life leadership school of Rotary. We should be selling that. Tom Peters, very famous businessman, said, "Leaders do not create followers. They create more leaders." That is our responsibility as Rotarians, to keep creating more leaders. So, you ready? Here's the big idea. And it incorporates all 4 of our priorities in our action plan: to increase our impact, expand our reach, enhance engagement, and increase our ability to adapt. Tom Thorfson would be proud of me if he was still here, right? So, number 1, increase our impact. It's no surprise to any of you here that we have one of the most, well, the most, I would argue, respected charities in the entire world, right? We are a top-rated charity navigator. And it goes back to those ethical values. There's very few charities that can argue that they don't spend that much money on administration costs. We have got that rating. We know that the money we put into our charity comes back. So we can offer this to a corporate world, and we can say, whatever your cause is, whatever you're raising money for, we can leverage that through our global grants and through our district grants. We can match your money. We can make it go further. And now that we have this economy, the environment, as another opportunity, that is huge. For a long time, corporations have been moving slowly on this corporate path of corporate social responsibility. Now we've upped the notch, we've upped the pace a little bit, we've upped that challenge because of this urgency around climate change. It's huge that we embrace the environment to appeal to this corporate market. We also have this opportunity to reduce how much fragmentation there is in this world. It breaks my heart how many people want to do good, and there's so many different ways to do that. Rotary is the army on the ground who can do it for everybody. Why don't we get the companies and the rest of the world to work through Rotarians, because we work with people on the ground who know best what is really needed instead of projecting onto them. We are better together when we're working in partnership. Number 2, expand our reach. So we can offer Rotary on a plate to these businesses. Just ask them, what is their cause? And we'll give you a tool that will not only expand our reach, it'll also expand your reach, because you will be able to attract these global citizens and they will stay. We can offer it now in this new world of embracing technology, which, by the way, we could have done a long time ago, but it took a global pandemic to make us do it differently. You know why? Because we're creatures of habit. There's a fantastic book called Growth Mindset by Carol Dweck, and it's all about embracing this ability to change, growth mindset. And she says very clearly, our beliefs drive our behaviors, and our behaviors drive our results. So we can do this differently. So let's offer Rotary, wait for it, in a virtual environment, not so different to an e-club or a passport club, but offer this to the corporate world and say that they can have a virtual hub, and all their employees, no matter where they are in the world, could be part of that virtual hub and be Rotary. And the corporation can sponsor the Rotarian membership. Remember, I said all those global citizens are Rotarians, they just don't know it yet. So we can be that answer for them and immediately connect those global citizens and their employees to our network of 1.4 million and offer them leadership development, offer them mentors, or more importantly, John, they can maybe mentor us too, right? That reverse mentorship concept. Immediate community, wherever they travel in the world, wherever they get transferred to, they would have a home in the way that I found a home in Chicago when I joined Rotary. Friendship with people who have similar values and people who want to make a difference just the way they do. A true sense of belonging that would help them stay in the organization longer. Win-win for both of them. In Rotary Great Britain and Ireland, we've tried this. We've called it our Rotary Global Hub. We started this as our direct membership program, and we offered it to those who we thought wouldn't actually ever join a traditional Rotary club because they were too busy and they just wanted to do it virtually. They wanted to dip in, they wanted to dip out. They didn't see the traditional club as the option for them. What we did is we took a Microsoft Teams platform and we've said, come and join leaders where you can exchange ideas, come up with a common idea, a common cause, and then take action. Taking action, back to taking action. What was so interesting is the byproduct of this global hub. Because not only did it attract new people indeed who were never coming to a traditional club, but it's also re-engaged a lot of Rotarians who were in declining membership clubs, who were feeling a little lost. They felt like they'd been doing the same fundraiser for years, and it wasn't their passion in the first place. That's not why they joined Rotary. So now they, whatever club they're in, can come and join on this Microsoft Team platform without even leaving the club they belong to. But they can now have a conversation about something that they care about, whether it's cleaning a river, whether it's human trafficking, whatever that is, they can all interact, and that conversation is getting louder and louder and louder, and it's so exciting to see. There's a fabulous story, little story I'll tell you. As you may know, we have one of the peace centers in Bradford in England, and one of the graduation ceremonies, there was several of the Rotarians locally were joining, and they went up to one of the graduates from the program and they said, what can we do in Rotary to support you now that you've graduated as a peace scholar? And she said, well, I live in Gaza, and there's no Rotary in Gaza. And I'm really worried because I feel a need to stay connected to Rotary. And so that Rotarian said, well, never mind, you can join our hub, our global hub. It doesn't matter where you live. Come and join the global hub. So she joined the global hub. And then she said, well, I want to start Rotary here in Gaza. And I want to now, we're in the middle of the COVID pandemic by this time, and she said, I want to take care packages to all these families in need. How do I do that? And so one of our more seasoned Rotarians said, well, we use the crowdfunding platform. We can help with that. And she said, well, how do I figure out how to do the videos? Because, you know, we have Arabic as our language, and how do I have that translated? And one of the Rotarians, who was actually a past president of Rotary in Great Britain and Ireland, said, my club president speaks your language. He lived in Jordan. He can help you translate. So all these connections were happening. And it was absolutely magic. Within 4 months, they had achieved a grant. they had done this project. And guess what? Our Rotary Global Hub in Great Britain and Ireland gave birth to a Rotary Club in Gaza. How perfect is that? So it's such a win-win that all of our districts now are creating their own platform within this platform so that they can join their existing Rotarians to have these conversations and think more around cause-based Rotary and make sure that we are truly focused on making a difference. It's all about increasing our ability to adapt. Recognize that one? Priority number 4, right? And we're doing it. We've done it. We're not only having this conference in live person, we're streaming it virtually. We are capturing it for the future generations too. And we're doing such a great job. I truly believe that COVID has enabled us to achieve more in 2 years than we would have done in 10. It's such a fantastic opportunity we're being given. And that time is now to really embrace this change, to grow more and to do more. Right, Shekhar? So instead of one Rotarian at a time, I challenge you, how about one business at a time? And bring in multiple Rotarians all at once, right? We can do it. We can think big, right? This is the time to think big. The value of Rotary, as we know, is magic. We know how good it feels to be a Rotarian, to belong to this incredible organization. This value is absolutely priceless, to pinch the phrase from MasterCard. But as our founder, Paul Harris himself said in 1914, whatever Rotary may mean to us, to the world, it will be known by the results it achieves. So now is our time to drive better results. Are you in? Let's do it. All right, thank you.
So the inspiration carries on. And before I hand over to our president to make some closing remarks, what I'd like to do is I'd like you to consider if you've been inspired over these last few days. Maybe you've learned some new things, met old friends, and made new friends. There's no better place to do that yet again except in Houston in June. Carlo.
We are excited to invite you to 2022 Rotary International Convention, Houston, Texas.
There are no limits to what can be discovered.
Our horizons are changing, but we remain resilient.
Because it's in our nature to break down barriers.
To explore the vast world of ideas, culture, and experiences.
The very things that give us new meaning to life.
So what better time than now to take action?
And push the boundaries of what's possible.
To join forces and do something that revitalizes the spirit.
Form connections that broaden our worldview. Share our passion for service with other leaders.
And become inspired to do great things along the way.
Let's take on new horizons and see what's possible.
Because our potential has no limits.
Discover new horizons at the 2022 Rotary International Convention in Houston, Texas.
Come, let's discover new horizons at the 2022 Rotary International Convention, Houston, Texas.
Look forward to meeting more of you there. It's now with great pleasure that I reintroduce to you our President, Shekhar Mehtar to give his concluding address to the Presidential Conference.
Good afternoon. What an excellent conference we've had. You guys agree? I don't think it could have been better. Excellent selection of the venue. Well, we couldn't have asked for anything better than Venice. Everybody who's come here has fallen in love. I had come a long time back, but I tell you, this visit has been even more special. Probably because I was with 600 other friends. And what a turnout. 600 people, outstanding, absolutely. The content of the conference has been absolutely spellbinding because of the speakers that we've had. A lot of food for thought, and I'm sure the value-action gap is going to be filled. And we will do it in a little while, but we'll definitely, even before we go, we will decide on what are the action things that we are going to do. Let me compliment, first of all, Francesco. Originally, it was Francesco who I had requested to be the convener. But of course, Francesco was asked to be the chair for the convention, and Jennifer requested if he could be relieved of the duty of this, and I agreed. But Francesco was nice enough to say that he would always be there, and he has been there. Thank you, Francesco. And then the responsibility fell on a person suggested by Jennifer, who I did not know at all. I did not meet that person till I came here. I had only seen him on Zoom calls, and that is Eduardo. Thank you, Eduardo, for what you have done and put up. This was not your country. This was not your backyard. And yet you have done it so beautifully. Thank you so much for chairing it so very nicely. And I can see why you were able to do it. A, because you had an excellent team, and also very importantly, because you are an extremely nice person. You know, people do good things for nice people. That's why they've done it. Thank you so much. And then we come to the man who we've been seeing. He is the mover and shaker of this conference, John. Thank you, John, for outstanding conference that you have set up. And along with him, Massimo, is he here? He's working. He always is. He always is. And your entire team. There are so many other people who must have worked. Everything was so proper, absolutely. The events were so nicely planned. The major donor event, even the last evening's event was spectacular, absolutely. Great ambience, great speakers, excellent food. And if the first action was at all taken in reducing the value action gap, it was always at my dinner table. Everybody at my dinner table ate vegetarian food, okay? And poor fellow Bryn and Randy, they have decided in their autobiography they're going to write, never ever become aides to a person who is a vegetarian, right? Coming back, I think everything was really nice. Everybody is extremely happy. Thank you so much. Coming to what action do we take from here? It's very important. I think we've heard so much, what all can be done, what is being done. I mean, the presentation by the Rotaractors was outstanding, absolutely. about what can be done using technology. There were so many presentations on that. There is a lot we can do. Let me just name a few, and the district governors. When I was at the Maputo conference, the closing session, I had said, before we leave, we need to finalize projects worth at least $1 million. And they did. You are 14 of you from Italy, and the others are from Scandinavia, as well as from other parts of Europe. My suggestion is, today all of you have lunch together. And during the lunch, you decide what are those projects that you would like to do based on the thoughts that have been generated out of this conference. Just to give you some thoughts, maybe some projects on end plastic now. Not a difficult thing to do. You could do that. Grow trees, I'm telling, starting with the easier ones. Very easy to do. You may say, we are already doing, but what is the takeaway from this conference? We should be, once you've decided that, please decide that, and so the lunch break is at 1:15. At 2:15, one of you, maybe Rafael, you can come and let me know the 10 or 12 projects that you're going to do, the value of which is going to be $1 million. And mark a copy to your director, Roger, and mark a copy also to Katrina and Urs, and Virpi, all the European directors. You could consider becoming a part of the mangrove plantation projects that we are going to take up in different parts of the world. Not everything is going to happen in Europe, but Europe will need to do things around the world also because you are fortunately placed. How about engaging in solar energy? Maybe in your area or around the world, wherever you would want to. Creating awareness, which is going to be integral part of each of these projects, or even separately. You may just want to have a project wanting to create on various issues, because, half the times people do not even know how they can participate in ensuring a sustainable future. It's very important for them to understand. When they understand, when they are reminded again and again, only then will they be able to take care of that. Use of technology, we've seen so much can be done, whether it is for planting trees. The other day, Nicki was telling me she's already planted 18 trees. How? By just walking. She walks on the app, it calculates how many steps she's taken, and for every 5,000 steps or 10,000, depending on various issues or where you are, etc., they will plant a tree for you, free of cost. So, use technology. Rotary is another thing that we've launched. That is there. There were 2 other apps which were shown. Maybe you want to calculate at next conference, maybe you want to see what is our carbon footprint, what are the savings that we've been able to do because of the measures that we have taken. Once we start doing these things, we'll come into a habit. You saw when Nicki came here, she came here with that green bottle. That was a reminder to all of us that we have to use reusable things and not keep using things multiple times. As far as community development is concerned, how about taking up projects of microfinance? That's an outstanding project. If your club or district can handle microfinance, it is one of the best things that you can do. The money keeps rolling and you can keep empowering people just because you are giving them money to start a business. They start and they grow. And normally, if well managed, there is no default. The default is even less than 1%. Starting sustainable projects, giving people money, not only microfinance, but even for starting, giving them seed capital, for starting projects which are sustainable, businesses which are sustainable, which will help not only their economy, but will also be sustainable and good for the environment. I'm just giving you a few ideas. There have been many ideas which you already must be thinking as you've heard the speakers. My idea was only to kindle that spark within you once again, just at the closing session, remind you that we have a job left, and that is to decide on the action plan. If you want to consult any of your directors, they will all be around up to lunch at least, definitely. You can discuss with them. But I would be extremely happy if at least $1 million projects is something that we can come out with. 7 conferences, $7 million, not a bad thing to start with. I'm sure when I tell you 1 million, there are 30 of you nearly here. I'm sure you'll far surpass that figure. Because as I sit here, I keep coming to know of the various efforts that you all are doing just for Ukraine, for example. Just this morning, again, I was told, as I was told yesterday, about that match to that $500,000 that you have collected in Scandinavia. There is 200,000 added more to that by some person who's not a Rotarian. So that has now become $700,000, which probably is going to be matched by another $700,000. So it becomes $1.4 million, which was till yesterday just $1 million. So that is the speed at which we all are working. Thank you so much. That fundraising effort was a very nice thing. It was a gesture. The amount may not be so huge, but it was a nice gesture. You fell short by $1,000 on reaching Calcutta. I will send that $1,000 to the foundation. Your collection here is $10,000. No speech of mine can end without me not talking about membership. I'm extremely happy about everything here, but not so happy about the membership growth here. And I see no reason, very frankly, no reason why membership will not grow in Europe. The number of people here is not less. Number of people who wish to join here is no less. It is all about asking. And it all matters on the courage of asking, whether it's donations or whether it's members. I'll give you an example. I always say the amount that a person gives depends more not on the person's ability to pay, but the ability of the person asking. When I became the district governor, long time back, dinosaur years, but till that time, in 75 years, my district had just one major donor. I was quite young, youngest governor. I said, okay, I'm going to change this. I'll get 2 more. We got 3 more that year. I thought it was a great deal. But the next year, next governor, on the very first day, he got 9 major donors. Few years later, major donor became pass, endowment funds became the call of the day. Now, it is all about Arts Club fellows in India. It's pouring, absolutely. It's not that the ability of those people has grown to give. Yes, it has, but even more, the ability of the Rotarians to ask has grown. We now have the courage to ask, will you become an Arts Club Society member? Will you give $250,000? The same is about membership and a follow-up. Since I've joined Rotary, I've never ever seen a Rotary Foundation goal missed out. We've always succeeded in every goal that we have set for membership, for foundation. The first time we collected for polio, we wanted to collect 120 million, we collected more than 240 million. When in the 100th year of Rotary Foundation, Kalyan Banerjee was the trustee chair, he set a goal of 300 million. It seemed to be very high, but that was crossed. 2 years back, 400 million looked difficult, but even last year, during pandemic, we collected $440 million plus. We've never ever failed because we follow up. If at my club, I said I'm ready to give $25,000, my president will remind me, the district governor will remind me, the DRFC will give me a call, RRFC also may give me a call, the trustee may call me up and say, would you want to increase it to $50,000? But if I said I'll get 5 members, nobody will even bother to call me back. Whereas, if somebody gave me an offer that you get $10,000 or 10 members, I'll any day choose 10 members. Because who knows, those 10 members will give far greater than $10,000. And friends, the district governors, as I mentioned to the Italian ones who met me this morning, the legacy that you can leave are 2. One is your work that you do, especially on empowering girls. And the other is the membership growth that you will do. The biggest problem of Rotary is membership growth. For the last 20 years, we are at 1.2 million. For the last 6 years, our membership is going down. So you can well imagine this is the problem. So when we solve the problem, or we put it on the right track, you've already put it on the right track, and I must thank you, compliment you for doing that. But I see tremendous potential even in Europe. All you need to do is just the promises that people made to me yesterday while taking pictures. If you do that, I'll tell you 500 members you will get. 500 members. You will get only by what people have said here, and I didn't force anybody. I said, okay, if you want to give me a banner, 5 members. You want to take a picture, 1 member. Very easy, not difficult at all. So friends, are we ready to go back and follow up and ask, let us change? Who says membership in Europe cannot grow? Governors, can I have a yes from you? Yes. Once more. Yes. Okay, I'll remember that. So friends, I think the organizing committee needs a big applause. Can we all rise to say a big thank you to Eduardo, John, Francesco, Massimo, and the entire team. Thank you. All the people who've organized it, I couldn't have asked for anything more. This has been an excellent conference. Thank you. Dhanyavad. Namaste.
Can I now call on our convener, Past Director Eduardo, to close the conference officially.
Good afternoon, everyone. We have arrived at the closing of the Presidential Conference, Mr. President. I am sure that we all take a great memories of this day, both for us for having seen friends that we have 2 years, but only we see by soon, and also for the intervention we have heard. And also, we have enjoyed the beautiful city of Venice. Thank you for all you. President, I hope that we can tell you we have achieved and the conference has been held. As I said yesterday, this has been a month of a lot of work, a lot of tension, change, problems, and I have us give us each other the best that we had. But it is time to you allow me to thank to the President for entrusting us to hold this President's Conference in Venice. Thanks all the speakers for their good presentation. Thanks, Carlo, for the technical. That's his incredible job. Thank Carlo. Thanks to the team of the translator. We have 5 languages, and this is a great job. Thank you very much. Thanks for the governor of Italy, the governor that we support for the first moment this conference with for the celebration of this conference. Thank you very much, because we show your support in every meeting. Thanks to all the participants and a great group of Rotary International director. I think, President, that you have the majority of the board here and you can continue working in Venice. Senior leaders that are with us, many past governors, Ezio, I don't see Ezio now, but he's there. And also, I want to say thanks to the true makers of this success, of this conference to come up. The members of the committee, we have worked very hard on this month. The co-convener, Roger, and tell me, before of all, for my good friend, Francesco. Francesco called me to say if I am ready to have to take the position of the convener because he has another event in Rotary. Thank you, Francesco, to join me. The co-chair, John and Massimo. We have some problems, and John and Massimo, that is incredible to work with you. You don't have any problem. We have two co-chairs, and that is marvelous. And one is from Malta, and the other for Italy. But both are incredible Rotarians. Thank you very much. And of course, our Secretary, Alfredo, and the Secretary, Vittore. I don't know if there or is working. It's there, okay. This is a very, very, very hard work. All the meetings, to be in contact with the hotel, with the contact with all the events. Thank you very much, Alfredo and Vittore. The treasurer, Fabio. This is always is a very bad business in the conference. Thank you, Fabio. Everything is correct. And I think that, please, come up here, all of you, with Roberto also. Roberto is there, Carlo, Claudio, and Lucky, our Rotaract. Where is Lucky? Well, Lucky was a Rotaract, and this is incredible Rotaract. He was... Lucia. Lucia, that's right. Lucia. She's working all the time with all the members of the staff, and this is, thank you very much. Thank you. Raffaele, come on, Stefano, this is the governor. Tiziana is there. And Diego over there, Diego. And Omar is not here, as you know. He was working a lot for the major donor dinner, but he has COVID just 2 days before of the event. And Pietro is not here, but is incredible. And of course, Francesco, you are part of the team for the first moment. I always use the experience of Francesco in all our meetings, and thank you very much because work. And thank you, all of you, and have a big hand. We have, for many months, meetings on Saturday and Sunday afternoon. I don't know what will happen in the next Sunday. I don't know. We have a meeting again. We have a meeting again. And I want to say thanks to the families and the partners of this group of people, because he supports us all the Saturday, Sunday behind the computer and says silent, silent, silent. In some cases, Lucia is the dog of Lucia is coming to the screen. You. And thanks for your family. Sorry. And as you know, I am from Spain. I don't speak Italian, but now I am matriculated in the university in the second year of Italian. And then I promise that this next time we will speak in Italian all the time. My Italian is worse than my English. This is incredible. But now, President, this is your time. Come with us. The conference is over, and it's the time to close the conference with all the team and ring the bell and say thank you, all of you, for the conference, and don't forget Venice. In the name of
the two hugs were for the two aides that we had. I missed to mention them, I'm sorry. And our super aide here, thank you, Bryn and Randy, thank you so much.